Angel lives in southern Maine with a wealth of animals she's loved and cared for consistently for a long time. So, Angel, you and for now your granddaughter Ellie share your home with a macaw, a cat, and 9 dogs. Tell me how that came to be.
Before I retired up here to Maine, I started taking in dogs that I thought could be trained or rehabilitated or put back into families. When I retired, I had 10 unplaceable dogs, so they had to come with me. I'm happy to do a lot for dogs because many junctures in a long and complicated life have kept me sane, so it seemed like paying back was a real good idea. They're so loving and stable, and I like touching things. I'm a sculptor, so to pat them and rub them, and it's pretty good.
Riley is the kitty.
Was abandoned under a trailer, and she was tiny.
She's very friendly.
Oh, she's a very sweet cat. Absolutely. She came with me because I knew I was going to have the bird, Vinny. I don't leave a cat with a pack of dogs because they tend to pack up. Riley, when I leave, goes in the bird room and she sleeps there at night, and her job in life is to kill the mice, which she does, and eats them. This is Lady. She's always at my feet. I think she's a Sheltie Beagle cross. She's very bossy, very sweet, and she's very pretty. Everybody says, oh, it would be easy to find that dog a home, but you wouldn't want her. She'll come in the car with me, but if I leave her in the car to go in and pick up a prescription or something, she'll eat my car. She is a dog who was kept the entire first year of her life in a dark shed with no windows, no doors. What she wants is to be here with her buddies and simply wait for me to come home. And she is touching me all the time and gets a lot of patting. Initially, I tried to socialize them to where they could all go in the car and they could all be civilized and blah, blah, blah. They don't want to do that. Lady will stay now in the house without eating the house.
Without you here.
Without me here, without anybody here.
I haven't heard one sound out of Vinny.
She never makes any noise to speak of unless she's mimicking us, and she likes to do that when we aren't visible. My studio is next door, and when I'm working, she will mimic everything. Everybody's voices, what we've said, odd noises, telephone ringing.
Does she ever get out of her cage?
She doesn't want to. When I first had her, she did, but that's one of her funnier mimics because it's now 8 years that I've had her. She would come out, and I had a place on the porch with things for her to play on. And one day, I went and opened it up and said, "Step up, Minnie." And she just looked at me. And what she will now mimic is my rising irritation at her not stepping up. Step up, Vinny. Vinny, step up. You can hear me getting more and more annoyed. And she can still do it. We all go in and give her yummy things to eat. And she has all kinds of games. She likes to say, kiss, 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 kiss.
Does she play with toys?
Nope, she doesn't like toys.
Was she rescued?
It's not ideal. I had an African gray who I adored and who died. African grays are something. I really miss her. She came to me with a broken leg. I moved the floor of her cage up. If she fell, she wouldn't fall as far. But I wasn't going to be able to keep her safe because once you've broken that leg, it was just a matter of time.
I can see that you really miss her.
Oh.
Your face colors when you talk about her. Best for these birds that they're not desired. Poor people won't trap them and catch them and sell
breed them.
If you can put yourself into the position of a live creature who is not you and see what it is that they need and respect those needs, if enough people did that, then these situations would not exist.
The thing with birds is birds are beautiful, and we love them because they can fly. And what do? We put them into a cage where they can't fly, or even if you have them in a room, they still can't really fly. They're imprinted on people. Stay. Junie, come here. She's the newest. The Husky German Shepherd mix. In the houses where people tried to keep her, she'd jump out of second-story windows. And then when she's out, she just goes to find a person. It's terrifying, and she wasn't happy, and she didn't want to eat. When she came to me, she weighed 45 pounds, and she's a big dog. And that isn't because anybody was being mean to her. It's because they couldn't adapt the world for her to a place where she would be comfortable. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do anything with her. When she came here, turned out that she's quite happy to eat and now likes to eat if I stood right there by her bowl while she finished her food. But essentially, because there's so many dogs here, she's beginning to pack up a little bit, and I realized that she doesn't need to go in the car and take endless long walks over mountain paths, which is good because I don't do that either. She likes being here. I'm an old lady, so I have a very calm house. Everybody gets biscuits when I leave, and then I say stay. And what that means to them is I'm coming back. And I trained her that that's what it means. So now she'll just lie in the bed there with her toy and wait for me to come back. Once you've solved that problem, she's the least anxious dog I ever knew. Completely friendly, loves cats, loves people, loves dogs. But if I had screens on any of the windows, she'd be gone.
What about Benny?
Well, when I first saw him, he had been abused so badly that he was catatonic. He lay on the floor with his paws covering his nose and his eyes closed. You can tell what Charlie's problem is. It's okay, I promise. Benny, come here. Yes, good boy. He's come a long way. But by catatonic, I mean I could put a leash on him and force him to walk with me, and the minute I stopped walking, he would lie right back down again and cover his head. And he's a big dog, so I thought, well, it'd be good to take him to obedience class, which I did. The thing that he was best at was the down stay. Drop to the ground, cover his eyes, and I could walk all the way across the room and all the way back. He's really a sweetheart. Patsy had her second litter of puppies and had been confiscated by the Humane Society. When I brought her home, it took me 9 days before I could even touch her. I kept her in a small room that had a small pen outside of it so she could go outside to pee and stuff. She would keep darting away from me no matter what. She's come a very long way. And she has no vices. And the idea that anybody was ever mean to her is just unreal. She's a perfect dog. All of these dogs sleep with me. I think it's an important part of the socialization. My bedroom is the den. My mattress is on the floor, and they either are on the mattress with me or on the dog beds that surround the bed. I'm the restless one. They are all very quiet, peaceful.
You said you don't speak to them
In commands, partly just because they're family. Some dogs really do speak and understand, and they say quite complicated things to them and they get it. Lady speaks English and Fancy speaks English. We don't get them, but they get us. Now that I'm a senior citizen, if I had room, I would take in old dogs because they really are grateful to you. You may not have them forever, but that's okay.
Some people, when their animal dies, don't want to get another one for years. Other people adopt an animal in honor of.
Everybody has to answer that question for themselves. My life would be so impoverished without a dog that I wouldn't even imagine it. I'm entertained by the friendships they make themselves. I don't watch TV because my dogs are actually more interesting. They have friendships and pretend fights and sometimes real fights, but they never hurt each other. They're not real fights in that sense. Just, who's the boss today? Any one of them who's misbehaving, all I have to do is go, ah! And whoever is misbehaving looks at me and stops. And the others don't even look up. They learn it very quickly. Yeah, there's something about just that syllable seems to catch their attention. The trickiest part is probably breakfast, because we do it in parts, and I try to keep it very steady. It's always the same order that they get fed in. You have the dogs who eat too much and you don't want them to be fat, and you have the dogs who don't eat enough and have to be given special food, and then there are the sick dogs. But they're very mannerly.
Dogs get to be with Vinny?
They did when I lived in Maryland. Actually, something made her anxious in Maryland, and that's why she would no longer come out of the cage. So when I found this house, I thought that would make a perfect bird room. She can see us, she can hear us, she can interact with us and does. Ellie goes in and gives her food and talks to her and sings to her. She knows she's safe in there.
Charlie.
Charlie is an Airedale collie cross. She's gotten better looking with food and care. She's wonderful ears. She barks at the school bus, at anybody she thinks might be coming in the drive, as well as anybody who does. Funny thing is, she's only on this mission in the daytime. Nighttime, all bets are off. She goes to sleep, and that's it. She's not interested in who comes into the house or what they do. She doesn't like to leave home. She barely even likes to go out to the end of the yard. What are you going to do? There you are.
And her companion over there?
Goldie is the little yellow whippet. There's a scar that runs all the way down her side and along her ribs. She came from a woman who had something absurd, like 180 whippets. 6 whippets to a pen. What she thought she was doing, which is absolutely inconceivable, she wanted to breed a long-haired whippet.
Who's that?
The little black one? Zelly. She doesn't have an ounce of anxiety, but she is a little retarded. I've had her since she was 5 weeks old. She was on a wet slab of cement and clearly died. She had parasites and malformations from no food. A long time when she was in my house. She would sit next to me on the sofa. She would get restless. I would know she had to go out, so I'd pick her up with one hand. I mean, that's how small she was. Under her, her breastbone. And take her outside, and I had to hold her up while she peed. She wasn't strong enough to stand up. And then I would bring her back and settle her next to me again. Anyway, she's grown up. She's quite happy. She's completely housebroken. She's very sweet. She's just not quite all there. And she has seizures periodically, too.
And how old is she now?
6, maybe. She's very good.
My own little dog who had been left abandoned pregnant on a chain was barking at everything when she first came home with me.
It sounds as though the dog you brought in is coming out of anxiety. A lot of anxiety dogs do not abate, and they then have to be protected. That's why this peculiar situation I have here, where I have a house with a big yard fenced all the way around, suits them.
What would you say to people who are older and who don't want to get an animal because I don't want to die first and leave them? I don't want them to die. I don't know how to time it. I don't know what age animal to get. I really do want to adopt, but my age is holding me back.
Well, I don't think any of us of any age know when we are going to die or be incapacitated. So I just think it's a question of trust. I don't think you can control life. A lot of the older animals, they want a nice quiet place to live out their old age. If you die, you're gone. To me, the dog who gets 2 years of love and care has 2 years of love and care. Whether they die or whether you die, they've still had the 2 years of love. That's what it's about.
Hello, I'm Maggie Davis. I make videos and podcasts on behalf of animals in need. Maggie, S as in Sam Davis at gmail.com, 207-266-7673. Recordings are made in person and long distance. If you are a rescuer, foster, or adopter who shares your home or homestead with 3 or more animals formerly in need and are glad you do that, be part of it, as private or as public as you want to be. The Open Wide the Door Smartphone Conversation Project. The mission statement's in the YouTube description. Do read it and be in touch. Your story matters.